reporting for Charles Cost. I'm just at the Secret Valley of Incas. Hey everyone, I'm at Machu Picchu. Let's see what Charles has to say.
Thanks very much to my friend Kimberly over in Machu Picchu with some of those nice pictures. This has been nagging me for some time, and I feel I have a duty to tell people the plain truth about this monument, which no one else is saying. Hello ladies and gents, I believe Machu Picchu was originally an Irish monastery back in the Dark Ages, or what the Irish call the Golden Age. A time about 1700 to 1100 years ago, when Ireland was a very strong nation full of artists, architects and great thinkers. There are many clues at work. The appearance of the residential structures present, the deliberately chosen scenic and isolated location. I deduce that we might be looking at an ancient Irish colony in America, maybe about 1400 years old. I toured Ireland extensively back in 2014. One of the things I noticed is that monks would, back in the Dark Ages, set up their monasteries in the most beautiful locations they could find in the entire country. One example is Ardmore. If you drink from a sacred spring nearby, the pure coldness of the water, in conjunction with the stunning landscape, you truly get the feeling that you have received 1,000 blessings. Another example is Glendalough. Although it is in Ireland, it has a Scottish loch-type scenery, which boggles the imagination. St Declan's Cell is here, halfway down the lake, in the most picturesque part. These monks wanted something nice to look at while meditating in silence. Inca houses look like old Irish houses. Ever since I set eyes on the pictures of the structures at Machu Picchu, I immediately said to myself, those are Irish houses. And I was convinced that this is where the Irish set up one of their colonies in the New World, where they would become known as the Viracocha. As a result of the potato famine and perhaps another unknown catastrophe as well as immigration, the population in Ireland today is still half of what it was in 1800. As a result of this depopulation, the landscape and the whole country is still littered with ruins, abandoned stone houses which look to me just like what is found at Machu Picchu. And this style of architecture is consistent for over 1,000 years. You see the same thing in ancient ruined monasteries. So why would the Incas have built in the Irish style at Machu Picchu? Ancient texts such as the St. Declan story tell of a journey from Ireland to the southeast in a leather boat by monks in the 7th century. The Irish texts speak of temples and volcanoes in the lands they find. It would not have been the first time. In a previous video, I showed Mayan or Inca-like artifacts made in Ireland between about 5000 BC and the time of Christ. So why are there no Irish artifacts at Machu Picchu? Well, perhaps they did not dig to the required layer, or perhaps these artifacts were hidden like the American giant bodies were hidden from the eyes of the American public. Or perhaps the Irish in their small leather boats were actually not able to bring anything at all with them. The reason they sailed in leather boats is even over 1,000 years ago, Ireland had been stripped of trees. Also, imagine hiking through a cloud forest carrying items from Ireland. That is just not going to happen. I have also made videos showing that at one particular unidentified period of the Dark Ages, or Irish Golden Age, Irish buildings look like Incan buildings in Cuzco. And many other similarities, such as the weird heads of the medieval Knights Templar Church in London, and that similarity with the Kalasasaya Temple in Tiahuanaco. Might these be conquistador Spanish houses? Not at all, for those have a more gentle sloping roof in the Roman style. In addition, Machu Picchu was well hidden and lost to the world until its discovery in 1911. Ironically, the discoverer was a historian called Hiram Bingham. His name is a spooky synchronicity with the name of an ancient Phoenician king, Hiram Abif, the builder of the first temple of Solomon, according to law only held in the libraries of the Freemasons. The Phoenicians are people reputed to have once travelled the world a millennia before Christ. The Aztecs and Incas and Mayas all had the same religious idea that travellers from the west would return after a certain period of time in order to resume rule over them. The ancient Americans universally feared that when the Viracocha came back, they would be punished for having resumed the conduct of human sacrifice, which the sun-worshipping Viracocha had forbidden them to practice on pain of harsh punishment. I believe the earlier 1st millennium AD Viracocha were Romanized Irish and British, perhaps Sol Invicta worshippers, and later on Christians. This is why the Viracocha seem to be sun worshippers. The early Christians saw in the rising sun a metaphor for the resurrection. Is this why the Incas would become the children of the sun? It makes sense that these Viracocha would have built cities, set up a political system with palaces and other ruins which would resemble what is found in the old world. Otherwise, why would they be remembered at all? Are these ruins an example of what was built by the Viracocha? You do not, after all, become a creator god unless you create something, you build something. Of course the stone houses are ramshackle compared to what lies underneath. These are even older structures made of huge megalithic stones whose function we cannot deduce, built by an even older, more technological civilization. Thanks for watching. Check out some of that merc down there below the video and hit that bell. Gong!